Hello everyone, you are on the Derico channel and today we are showing how to apply Derico Satin Decorative Plaster onto an unprepared wall. So let's get started.
I'm ready.
The first step, as usual, is to apply Derico Deep Grunto. But if the wall is already painted, we skip this step and immediately apply our Derico base color paint in a pre-tinted form. The same color as our satin product. Here we go! We wait 3 hours and then apply the first layer of Derico Satin. Let's take a break. So, 3 hours have passed and we apply the first layer of our Derico Satin. We apply the first layer in a chaotic manner, starting from the corner and moving along the entire wall. Due to its roughness, the material perfectly covers small defects where necessary. For example, if we have a small pothole, we can immediately cover it, and by the time we come back to it, it will have cooled down a bit and will be slightly leveled. Let's go! The most important thing is to maintain the temperature range and apply the layer as evenly as possible. The first layer of our plaster is ready. Now we are waiting for about 8 to 12 hours at room temperature and start applying the second final layer. Now let's have a little rest. Now 8 hours have passed, the first layer of our Derico Satin plaster is completely dry and we apply the second layer. And here is a little life hack to create such an interesting effect. We can add a little bit of white base to the second layer, about 20%. We do this to make our base a little darker and the top a little lighter. We will get this micro contrast that is barely noticeable to the eye, but it will harmonize very well. We spread our plaster with ordinary traveling movements and cover the surface almost completely. Sometimes we make the layer larger, sometimes we make it a little smaller. We don't make it the same, so that our pattern is chaotic and we don't see any regularity. The material is applied in a relief layer, so it can smooth out absolutely all defects that remain after the first layer. It takes a very long time to prepare and finish. You can take Derico Satin and close your eyes to certain defects. As you can see, it's a very simple technique. We just take the material, put it on our trowel, and use our trowel to cover the entire surface without leaving any gaps. Here we go. We have applied our second layer, evenly placed our piles, and now we are waiting for about 5 to 10 minutes and will smooth them out and level them into islands. Let's take a little walk. After about 10-15 minutes, our second layer has dried up a little bit, let's call it that. And now we are starting to smooth it out, as if flattening all these islands into a homogeneous surface. So here we go. We pick up the remains. Make chaotic movements diagonally from left to right, from top to bottom, and vice versa. We make the most chaotic movements possible, so that we can't trace how we move the spatula, and we get a random and incredible pattern. Let's go! If something extra is left on the spatula, we will definitely pick it up. Perhaps this material will be useful to us in those places where we have left gaps and did not finish it. As you can see, our islands turned out to be non-uniform. Some are larger, some are smaller, and somewhere we can even see a scattering of these tiny islands. What we're going to do next is to let the material harden a little more to finally level it into one plane and create the effect of velvet. When we move the spatula in one direction and in the other, we will have two colors. Let's go for a walk for about 5 minutes. So let's proceed to the final stage. Smoothing out the places where we had bumps. As you can see, the material has already dried and this velvet texture is now very well displayed. When you drag the material in one direction, it is of one color, and when you drag it in the other direction, it will be a little different. I like this effect the most, especially at the end of the process, and we are already revealing our final picture. As one can see, we also pick it up on the sponge. I can't stop thinking about how beautiful it is. That's it. Our texture is ready. Let's give it a little time to dry so that all our pearlescence is revealed very nicely, and then you will see the result. Well, our texture is ready. You can see how cool it looks, especially when we put it on top of less than perfect surface. The result is even more impressive. So don't forget that we are on Instagram, Facebook and YouTube, where you should definitely subscribe and click. This was Dereco Plasters for Professionals. Goodbye.